Hey folks, welcome to the 5th episode of the weekly wrap-up out of the WRPS studio. I'm Ben Carpine alongside Danny Nguyen. We have a pretty cool episode to show you guys today. It's more of a different theme for this episode, cool type of cards we want to show you guys. So we're going to start off, just jump right in. First up today, we have a 2007 Adrian Gonzalez card from the San Diego Padres. Now, Adrian Gonzalez in 2007, we're talking a guy who's been in the league now for a couple of years. He's in his third year in the MLB. At this point, he is in his second year with the San Diego Padres. Now we're talking 161 games this season, 646 at-bats. He played for, he hit 101 runs, 100 RBIs, and had an on-base percentage of .347. That's a pretty good season right there, and it shows so in the MVP voting. Gonzalez came in at number 20 overall in the 2007 MLB MVP voting. So this is a pretty good statistical season from a player who would eventually go on to play for 14 years in the MLB. Adrian Gonzalez, very good MLB player, played for the Boston Red Sox. I can tell you that for about half of a season or so. But very tenured guy, and in 2007, he's really just starting his career, Danny, and that's why I think this card is really cool. But what are we looking at today if we're just talking about, what does the card look like? What sets this card specifically apart from the rest of them?
For the set itself, it's from SB Authentic. When we talk about sets, you don't hear about that. You usually hear for baseball cards like Upper Deck or others like Immaculate, Natural Treasures if you're like a rich person. But even the card itself, it looks nice. The auto looks good. It's not game worn. It is numbered to 50. It was made in 2007. I don't know exactly his rookie season, but the card itself looks nice. The colors blend in with each other. The shine looks perfect. What do you think about it, Ben?
Danny, I've given this card some thought. I will say, and I think I've said this before, I'm not a huge baseball fan, and that's not just because I've never played baseball, so that's one thing. You play football, you like football and all that stuff, but I've never played baseball, and I still really like Adrian Gonzalez. He played for the Red Sox. That's obviously a boost. But what I'm going to say here, I'm going to give this card an 8, and I think I like that mostly because of this is a really cool jersey patch that they have on the card. The design of it's really cool. They got the gold lettering or the gold box plus the gold signature around it. So to me, that makes this card really cool to look at. It's kind of eye candy. Plus, Adrian Gonzalez was a very good MLB player, and 6 years out of the league, and kind of look back and say he had a very successful career. So this card, I think, is very valuable. Danny, what are you thinking today?
So for my rating, I give it an 8 out of 10. The card itself looks nice overall. And he's also been with the Red Sox, like you said. And that's all I got to say about it. What's our next card, Ben?
So we're actually going to stay on the same player, Danny. We're moving off of this 2007 Adrian Gonzalez card, and we're going to bring you 2 years down the road to 2009. Adrian Gonzalez, at this point in time, still a member of the San Diego Padres, but by 2009, he's really kind of come into his own as a player. I don't think I elaborated on this earlier, but by this point, he's a former first-round pick, and now he's 6 years into the MLB, or at least 6 years into playing professionally, because 4 years after he was drafted, he played in the minors, so he didn't start playing in the major leagues until 2004. So 2009, we're entering his 6th season in the MLB, and at this point, he's a league all-star in 2009. Not to mention he's 12th in MVP voting, so he's 8 higher than he was in the former card, and he's a Golden Glove Award winner. That's all a pretty impressive resume for a guy who's now entering his 6th year, and not to mention that in 160 games and 552 at-bats, he had a pretty impressive stat line of 90 runs, 99 RBIs, and a career high of 119 bases on balls and walks. That basically means he was able to get 119 bases forward when he was at the home plate. So that's pretty good, not to mention .407 on base percentage. These are really good. These numbers say a lot about what Adrian Gonzalez was all about. And 2009, to have a card like this, you have the jersey patch on it, which Danny will elaborate more on. To have that type of card for a player who had such a great season in 2009, I think really speaks volumes, and that just ups the value of this card. But Danny, what are you thinking about this card today?
So as you look at the card, there are some spots around the bottom left corner and the bottom right corner, but the card itself looks nice. The colors just blend into it, and some of them pop out with the jersey that's from the San Diego Padres. But the card itself looks nice. The jersey isn't game worn, but it just looks cool to have and show a huge patch that's on the card. But yeah, what do you think about it, Ben?
So this one I actually think I like a bit better. And I do like the design of the first card better from '07, but the '09 card statistically just holds a bit more value. So I'm going to up this card by half a rating, and I'm going to go to 8.5. And I think that's a fair rating given the fact that the card has, to me, the design is a little bit less. It's not as nice. I think it's just a little bit more crude. But when you have the statistics behind Gonzalez at this point in his career in 2009, I think that to me is what brings this card value up by 0.5, and that brings it up to my final rating of 8.5. Danny, what are you thinking today?
For my rating for this card, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. The card value goes down because there's no auto. The conditions worsen than the first one we brought up. And also, when you invest in cards, you don't want to go for the more like later years of the card. You want to go for their exact like close to the rookie season or their exact rookie season. But yeah, that's my rating. What's the next card, Ben?
So we're going to step off baseball for now. We're going to put away these Adrian Gonzalez, very nice, very beautiful cards, by the way. And we're going to move on to the NHL, where we now have Pittsburgh Penguin still playing, by the way. That is Evgeni Malkin. Excuse me. Born in the Soviet Union in 1986, so we're talking a guy who's had some pretty crazy life experiences. Drafted second overall in 2004. The player drafted before him, none other than number 8 Alexander Ovechkin, who we covered, I believe, an episode ago, Danny. But 2004, second pick of the draft. And this card right here, in 2009-10 season, this is his 4th year in the National Hockey League, so he had played in the minors for a couple years, and is also his 4th year in Pittsburgh, where he still is to this day. In this particular season, in 67 games, he had 28 goals, 49 assists, and all that added up for a total of 77 points. That's a pretty impressive stat line. 13th in All-Star voting for the left wing position. And in this season, Pittsburgh 47, 28, and 7 as their final record. However, they lost in the conference semifinals in 7 games to the Montreal Canadiens. So 2009-10 is a pretty successful year for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're able to make a fairly deep playoff run to the second round. And in the NHL, I think, we tend to give I think we give less credit in the NHL for the ability to win consistently because they have shootouts and all that stuff, and it can kind of come down to, one goal after playing hockey great for 59 minutes, they score in the last minute. That counts as a loss no matter what if they lose by 1 goal, if they lose by 5. So I think it's a lot harder to kind of equate that to a basketball 2-point loss or a game-winning touchdown loss in the NFL. So I think when we look at this particular season, Evgeni Malkin had a very good season statistically. So did the Pittsburgh Penguins, just weren't able to come up in the end over the Montreal Canadiens. But that is kind of the summarization of this card statistically. If we're talking about the card itself, Danny, I want you to describe a little bit what it is that we're looking at today.
So the card itself has a nice black and yellow with the patch. It is signed, but it is not game worn. It is numbered to 6. There are some splotches on the card at the bottom left corner and right. But the card itself looks nice. Made in 2010. The colors of it blend well together. It has the white, blue, red, resembling to Russia itself, like knowing that he's from the Soviet Union at the time. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about it. What do you think about it, Ben?
Danny, I'm going to give this card my highest rating today so far, and I'm going to give this card a 9. Evgeni Malkin, current player still in the NHL, and I've becoming, actually, as we've been filming these episodes, I've becoming more of an NHL fan, especially now with the Boston Bruins hopefully about to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs in 5 games. But I've become more of a fan of the NHL over the last couple of weeks, and Evgeni Malkin, he's right up there. In the Pittsburgh Penguins, they have guys like Sidney Crosby, so it's not like he's the sole leader of this team. He's playing with one of the best players in the NHL of all time alongside him. So he has to kind of carve out a role for himself, and I think he's been able to do that very well in his career. And this card specifically from the 09-10 season is just a very good statistical season for Evgeni Malkin. So I'm going to stay with my rating of 9. Danny, what are you thinking?
For my rating, I'm going to give it the same as the first card we brought up at 8. The card itself looks gorgeous. The splotches aren't as bad as the second one we brought up. It looks nice overall. The number patch, the game worn, not game worn, and the auto just works well. What's our next card, Ben?
So we're going to stay in the NHL. However, we are going to get off of the skaters, and we are going to move over to the goaltenders of the NHL. And I'm talking about current Calgary Flame, Jacob Markstrom. Now, At this point in time, as you can see by taking a look at the card, you'll notice that is not a Calgary Flame logo on it. That is a Florida Panthers logo. That is because in this card he is playing for the Florida Panthers, drafted round 2, 31 overall in 2008 by the Florida Panthers. From Sweden, by the way, has a pretty big body to be a goaltender. 6'6", 207 pounds. This guy's built to be an NHL goaltender. This card specifically is from the 2011-12 season. That's the season before the NHL lockout, which that was a issue with the NHL Players Association, but we're not going to talk about that quite yet. On 222 shots on net, he saved 205 of them. That's only 17 goals let in for the entire season. That's a save percentage, by the way, of .923, so that's another pretty good statistical number that we have on Markstrom. Currently playing for the Calgary Flames. You know, at this point in his career, Markstrom really hadn't made a huge name for himself, and I think that's kind of, to me, what drives the value up for this card. I think it's a very cool-looking card, but I'm not really the expert on that, Danny. So as far as what, we're showing on camera today, what is this card, what really makes this card stand out and is unique to the viewer?
So the card itself has a number patch. It is not game worn, but the auto is on it. The white signature on the black color looks nice. The card itself is a perfect condition. I don't see any splotches, scratches, or any type of nick or anything. But the card itself looks nice. It is numbered to 25. It is made in 2011 to 2012. But the card itself looks overall gorgeous. That's all I got to say about it. What do you think about it, Ben?
Out of 10 today, I'm going to give this card, I think, my second 8.5 of the day. I do like Jacob Markstrom. Almost gave away our last card there. I do like Jacob Markstrom. However, this specific season, he really didn't play that many games. He only had 222 shots on him, which isn't that crazy in the NHL. You got to think if there's 20 shots on you a game, that's only about 11 or 12 games. But obviously, it's not 20 games on you every single game, or 20 shots on you every game. As I kind of stumble over myself here. We're looking at a card from a player who's now he's a very good goaltender and he's very influential in the NHL. But in this particular season, it's just not all there. So when we're talking about card design, that's huge. I really like the way that this card looks. But if we're talking about the numbers behind it, I don't think that they're all quite there. So I'm going to stick with my rating, 8.5. Danny, how about you?
I'm going to have to give it the same rating you have at 8.5. The card itself looks way better than the first one we brought up. Perfect condition. The signature on the top of the number patch looks nice. Side number to 25, it looks almost perfect. But yeah, what's our last card for today, Ben?
Danny, we're going to move out of the NHL and we're going to return to the Major League Baseball. And we're going to send you a Boston Red Sox longtime member, Mr. Jonathan Papelbon. Now, Jonathan Papelbon, a pitcher for the Red Sox, drafted in the 40th round by the Oakland Athletics in the 2002 MLB entry draft. In this particular season, which is 2007, he was a league all-star. Only on 224 batters faced, only 5 home runs were allowed. That's really impressive. You got to think in the MLB, you're getting the best of the best, and on 224 of the best, he only allowed 5 home runs in the entire season. That's on about 60 games. 30 hits allowed. That's about the league standard. That's nothing crazy. In 2007, the Boston Red Sox, for the first time in almost a century, they won the World Series at home. They swept the Colorado Rockies to win in 4. So this is a season that is kind of legendary. 3 years before, they finally broke the curse of the Boston Red Sox when they traded Babe Ruth over to the New York Yankees. And they finally were able to do it in 2004. But in 2007, it was that much more special because they did it at home at Fenway Park, and that's really what made this season special. So Jonathan Papelbon, a pitcher who has his name etched in the history books of the Boston Red Sox because he was on the pitching mound when the Boston Red Sox won in 2007 against the Colorado Rockies. That's really all I have to say statistically. In all honesty, Danny, Jonathan Papelbon, not the craziest numbers guy, and it's really his influence on the Boston Red Sox that makes this card valuable as it is, that is valuable enough to have on the stand today. But if we're talking about the card, Danny, I'd like to have you give some insight onto what we're looking at today.
So the card itself looks nice. The background has a nice holographic shine to it. It's numbered to 40. The patch is not game worn, but the auto on it works well. The black, red, and yellow, and white looks perfect. The card itself has no nicks, no splotches or anything like that. I would probably give this card an 8.5 as my rating, since the players from Red Sox and also knowing the card's almost perfect, kind of like the Jacob Markstrom card and Adrian Gonzalez that we brought up. What do you think about it, Ben?
Danny, I think I'm kind of leaning between your rating 8.5 and another 9 today, and I think I'm going to go with a 9. Papelbon, as I said earlier, the numbers aren't really there, but sometimes what matters more is what is that player's influence on the team. And as far as Jonathan Papelbon goes, the Boston Red Sox don't win in 2007 if they don't have a guy like Papelbon on their team. And to me, that's what makes this card valuable. Plus, Danny, as you were talking, you got the nice signature on that card. I think it's a really beautiful card, taking a look at it. It's got that shine on it that I think makes it unique. So I'm going to go on the side of 9. I really like Jonathan Papelbon. This card, to me, is very unique, and we haven't had that many baseball cards on the weekly wrap-up yet, so I think the fact that we're able to have one here and a player who's as influential as he has been on the Boston Red Sox, I think that's very cool. So I'm going to go with a rating of 9 today, Danny. That is our last card for this evening. As you'll notice, there was kind of a theme today going. I think I touched on it earlier, but the theme today was a jersey patch theme. I think I really liked it. If I had to sum it up all in all today, I'm going to give today was a very nice day for cards. I'm going to give today a 9. I really enjoyed today's cards, Danny. I like the jersey patches that we had. I like that we were able to talk about, the Adrian Gonzalez card I think was really cool, and have 2 of those. Plus you got the NHL with Evgeni Malkin, and you got Jacob Markstrom, and then we go back to the MLB with Jonathan Papelbon. So I'm going to give today all in all a 9. How about you, Danny?
For my rating for today, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Every card we talked about was all game patch and with the number on it. It looked perfect. It did a nice rhythm to it. Honestly, that's my rating for today.
Well, folks, that about wraps it up for this 5th episode of the weekly wrap-up on WRPS. Again, I'm your host, Ben Carpine, alongside Danny Nguyen. We want to thank you for watching this episode. I had a lot of fun filming it. We hope you had a lot of fun watching it. And we will see you again in the next episode of the weekly wrap-up. Thank you, and have a great day.